Mistake, the biggest one is definitely waiting too long. If time is a constraint for you as a business owner, that's probably going to be your best option.
And then they just totally kind of shit the bed and this did not work out. They're looking at the wrong thing, or they're just doing everything wrong. And you're like, welcome back to Movified. I'm your host, Mark Hirschi, owner of Salmon's Moving and Storage, located in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. And today I am thrilled to have Landon Colvig. He is the lead consultant at Data Analytics joining us. Landon's like the data wizard who's helped countless businesses from startups to moving companies turn raw numbers into game-changing decisions. With a knack of simplifying complex analytics, he's guided clients at his company to pick the right tools, especially if you're following his reels. He is always helping you dodge those crazy mistakes that we as business owners do and thrive in this competitive market that we're in. Whether it's choosing the CRM that we're going to talk about, mastering maybe LinkedIn, or steering clear from tech overload, which I tend to do all the time. Landon's got the playbook. So cool. Landon, welcome to Movified.
Thanks for the introduction. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I typically don't do a lot of introductions, so you are one of the lucky ones. Landon's been in business since 2024, so he is young and fresh, like a puppy dog. And but he's also expanded his business quite well because, you know, we always talk about when you master a tool and you are now out there showing everybody, and it was especially with social media, it's so easy to tell people this is how to do it, and if you want to know more, follow me, right? Like that's like the simple expression to make it work. Landon's kind of exploded and he is more busy. So he's got a team that works under him or works with him. But you know, I want to kind of just jump right into it because you talked about it in one of your reels, which was the top 3 business mistakes, or, you know, the top 3 mistakes that businesses tend to do. And I felt like I followed like all 3 of them. Can you kind of elaborate on what those top 3 things are?
Yeah, off the top of my head, do you remember what they were? I think I remember the don't hire friends and family one.
Yeah, it was don't hire friends and family for sure was one of them. I believe the other 2.
Big software contracts.
Yes, the software contracts. Don't sign up like long term.
Yes.
I believe on one of them. And the other one, see, I should have written this down. I figured it was like fresh for you.
It should be.
I was testing you.
Mistake number 1 too. I should know number 1 off the top of my head.
Well, so give me some, like, I mean, you don't even have to go over those 3 that you said on the reel, but I mean, typically what happens the most, especially in our industry, is hiring friends and family. So why do you consider that to be a big mistake?
Yeah. And that definitely applies more to online businesses, just from the fact that you're limiting your talent pool to your geographic area or your friend group. And so it limits you from a lot of good talent, specifically in my business, a lot of good developers and data analysts in different countries. And then also, as I'm sure you've experienced it, if you have performance issues with them, it makes addressing those difficult, hurts the relationship, and then finding a way to move on from that working relationship is just near impossible.
Oh, for sure. I fired my sister like years and years ago. So it was, you know, and I had no problem. I think I fired my niece as well too. So yeah, I always like to say I don't want to hire family. Yeah, I know a lot of husbands and wives that work together and they work quite well. And you see the kind of family dynamics when your children grow older and, you know, they come into the business. But I find once you get to like the aunts and uncles, the cousins, you know, the second cousin that came up because your company's exploding and they're like, oh, great. Yeah, I can read data reports and I know how to, you know, utilize ChatGPT or AI technology. And you go, great, I'll give you a spot. And then they just totally kind of shit the bed and you know, you're just like, okay, like this did not work out. You're on a 3-month probation, you're gone. Like, and then it's just like that family reunion or the family gatherings. You're like, did you find that new job yet?
Oh, no.
What else would you say is some of the issues?
Yeah, definitely locking into big software contracts early on is a mistake I see a lot of businesses make. Usually you have to pay a premium for shorter contracts. But when you're just starting out, your business is changing and hopefully growing so rapidly that usually the tool you pick a year, 2 year, 3 years in, that's not going to fit your needs as well in a couple months. And so sticking to shorter contracts can actually end up saving you a lot of time and money.
When you're dealing with a lot of companies, they typically don't allow that, right? Like they
Mm-hmm.
want you on that 6 months, a year contract all the time.
Yeah, it can be difficult.
So how is there ways typically that you can avoid that? Like when you're trying to negotiate signing up, because they usually go, oh, great, if you sign up for the first year, we usually give you a little bit of a discount, or, I mean, they're trying to get you hooked in.
Yeah, the way I look at it,
Let's say I came to you,
mm-hmm.
right, and was like, hey, I want to utilize your program. I really want to analyze more data within my company, and I only want to do a 3-month contract. Do you also then offer that within small businesses as well too?
Yeah, the way I look at it mostly is, can I eat the cost of this contract if I stop using this tool in a month or two? Maybe there's an alternative, or maybe you can go out and build something custom, which is usually more expensive, but you just consider that when you're making your decision with these tools.
Do you, when we think about now these tools, and we're kind of going on to CRMs, which is definitely a struggle that a lot of moving company owners go through, and business owners, is like to find it, like the right CRM within their market, especially if they have an open API so that you can customize and incorporate tools. I know lots of companies that said, look, I'm just going to go simple and we're just going to learn HubSpot because I can, it's like an open API and we can incorporate all these different platforms. But then again, then you have all these different platforms. Like in my opinion, always at the same time too, it's like, okay, so now I have like 5 different softwares that are integrated with and as a business owner, you're going, I don't know how to do this. Like, I have no idea how to incorporate this. I just want to find a CRM that works.
Yeah.
And what do you find working with clients that is something that they juggle with? Like the biggest mistake that you see owners when choosing a CRM?
Yeah. Mistake. The biggest one is definitely waiting too long. I found that CRMs in particular, if you choose the wrong one, they're one of the easier tools to migrate out of. And there's usually freelancers for each of those who specialize purely in migrating from that CRM. And so down the road, it's usually not much of an expense to switch if you do find the wrong one. And the growth that you miss out on by not choosing one early enough, it generally far outweighs the cost of switching down the road.
Yeah, which I could definitely see makes sense. When you are like, is there an example for someone if they were just starting off? Do you suggest that they automatically, like, should they be writing down maybe some of the fundamentals? Like, can you explain a little bit more when you are looking at types of softwares, what are some of the key things they should look for? Because a lot of the times they go, well, look, do I really need a CRM? I'm a one-man show. In the moving world, it's the guy in a truck, right? So they go, well, I'm not needing to manage multiple trucks. I don't really need to manage a lot of the crew because it's usually myself, another guy, and I pay him cash. Where do you find that you need to turn around and go, no, like you need that CRM. This is what the monthly cost is going to go into, because that's what's going to happen, is that monthly cost and signing up and getting all the information to a CRM. Where would you suggest someone should be going to saying, okay, go right for the start, right when they hit X amount of money and earnings a month? What's your recommendation?
My recommendation is to just start with Google Sheets, storing all your contact info there, manually reaching out, manually following up, and then just keep track of how much time you're spending doing that, or maybe you have an employee doing all that. Either way, monitor the cost and then use that cost and weigh it against the cost of Go High Level or one of the other basic CRMs. And when that number gets too much higher than a subscription cost to a CRM, that's when you want to start thinking about switching.
I like that. Now, a lot of the websites are going to be a typical WordPress site. They're going to fill out a form, contact form, that information is going to come in. Are there AI tools out there right now that could at least take that form, put it into Google Sheets, so you are kind of building a program almost yourself, to avoid having to manually enter everything in?
Before we ever started using a moving CRM, someone asked me, could you 10x what you're doing right now with the current systems and processes you have in place? And I said no. And so he was like, well, then you need to just pull the trigger on the software. And then I saw Smart Moving, and it was game over.
Austin joined thousands of moving owners on Smart Moving in 2021. Since then, he's more than doubled his business.
And I always compare Smart Moving to Apple products. It's just so simple, so easy to use, and that's really what's allowed my team to scale and now have 2 branches. And last year we scaled Central Coast Moving over 50% growth.
If you're ready to turn your moving company into a machine that drives profit, not chaos, try Smart Moving.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's so many great tools. Hostinger is one that comes to mind, one that I've used.
What's it called?
Hostinger.
Okay.
But you pay
How do you spell that?
Hostinger. It's an AI site builder, and you can do basic forms. What I like about it is it only takes a couple minutes to set up a professional looking website. It's what I personally have used in the past. And you can connect it to Google Sheets or whatever. And yeah, it'll get you rocking right away without having to do WordPress or hire any developers.
Amazing. So you could easily just quickly build a WordPress website through using that AI tool, and then have those leads come through a Google Sheets that can then connect to your Google Calendar, for example. And so would you almost recommend someone to get a Google Suite like set up, especially when they go, okay, well, I have the domain name, but I don't know really how to get that website name, because I know you can go through the whole Google Workspace and have it so that it's, mark@abcmoving.com instead of mark@gmail.com, which looks tacky, and you should never have a Gmail email address, especially on your business card as a business owner. That's your, little tip for the day. But would that be a recommendation? Because that's usually a cost around there too, is it not?
Google Suite is fantastic. It's super easy to use. If time is a constraint for you as a business owner, that's probably going to be your best option to start getting all of this streamlined. I personally use a tool. I think Hostinger actually does my email. And so I have my URL there and my email servers. And then most everything else I do in Google Business.
Wow. I think that's genius, especially for those that are starting off before jumping into CRM. What are some of the red flags that you see with businesses, especially when it comes to analyzing data? Because everybody talks about, I got to have these KPIs. I got to do these reports. This is how I got to read this. And, I remember someone talking to me about, what is it? The Microsoft, finish the word for me. It's the
Microsoft Azure.
I think so.
They have so many tools.
I thought it was like the ones that can build me the reports, or like the Power BI. Someone introduced me to that, which I was blown away by as for doing reports. But again, when you are not someone that analyzes the data, what would you say are some of the red flags that you see for business owners that are going, okay, well, I'm trying to figure out the data, and, I can build these reports, through a CRM or maybe through like a Google Sheet to get my numbers, but they're looking at the wrong thing, or they're just doing everything wrong. And you're like, you are looking at it completely with.
Absolutely. Yeah. There are 2 extremes that I see in businesses that I think are a problem. One is you track nothing at all. You have no metrics. You don't know how much it costs to get a new customer. You don't know how much they're paying you, each customer. And number 2 is you track everything. And because you're tracking everything, nothing is important to you and actionable in your business. And so I generally try to move businesses towards the middle. The ones that aren't tracking anything, just start tracking how much it costs to get a new customer if you're doing any marketing. Even referrals, try and calculate how much effort you're spending getting new customers. And then also how much your customers are paying you. So this is generally a little bit easier. You can break down by each customer how long they pay you. If you have a subscription business, you can see how long they're staying. And then on the other hand, it's a little bit more difficult, but you try and strip away all the fancy bells and whistles that they're used to, and ask them what really matters to your business. What metrics drive a business outcome? So like if you're spending money on marketing and it costs way less to get a customer on Facebook ads than it does in your local newspaper, you're generally going to want to spend more money on Facebook than the newspaper, for example.
Where would be the best option to start putting in this data?
Google Sheets or Excel. So a tool that you could even do a piece of paper. The important thing is just that you're tracking it. And then as the work gets to be too much into manually tracking it, if you spend too much time manually inputting data, that's when you want to look at finding a different tool or system to help you with that.
What would you recommend?
Starting with Google Sheets, and then after that, usually a CRM will help with marketing a lot. And then there are different tools that will collect all your marketing data. Most companies can do it manually until you're spending probably 10 to 20,000 a month on marketing. At that point, the manual data collection gets to be too much, and you need to look at getting some custom data integrations and integrating it all in one place. I use a tool called BigQuery, which most people don't need to know about, but that's where bigger companies will pipe all their data into one spot and then create all these different automated reports.
So would you say, like, within your organization, like, that's what you do? Like, well, how would you assess, let's say, my company? So you were coming in, I want to hire you out. I said, listen, Landon, I am horrible with data reports. I don't understand them all. We have a CRM system. I can give you all the reports you want. What would be a step-by-step that you would come in and start being like, okay, Mark, like, these are the things that I need from you, and these are the type of things that I would be wanting to implement?
Yeah. So the first project we'll do with any business is usually a 360 dashboard, we'll call it. And so this is a business dashboard that has all of the key metrics around getting new customers, how much each customer is spending, and then also your operational metrics. So like maybe you have a sales team, or maybe you have a moving team and you want to see who's not showing up for enough jobs in the week, that sort of thing. And in building that dashboard, there's a certain amount of integration work required. And by doing all the integration work required to build the dashboard, at that point, we can do an audit of the business on how much time they're spending on certain admin tasks. And we can usually use all of the pooled data and integrations to start to automate those different processes one by one until we're at a point where the amount of money they're spending on those processes makes sense to automate them. And then lastly, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead. What's the last part?
The last part,
I don't want to cut you off there.
No, the last part is further innovating on all those automations and integrations and using AI. AI we usually put off to the very end. Most companies do not need AI. Individually, you want to be using ChatGPT and such, but most companies are way too obsessed with AI.
Well, and that's going to lead me to my next question after this. When you are going through this process, you're building these data reports or, the systems in place to read this all, understand it, simplify it. Because I mean, really at the end of the day, the way I look at it, especially when it comes down to reports, is I want to find out, my, cost per acquisition. I want to find out, how many, and a lot of these reports can already be pre-made, but a lot of it to apply to my cash flow in the business. So I want to find out the data and how to make sure that we're keeping track of, for example, you supply a lot of packing material, packing inventory. So I have, 500 or 1,000 boxes, 5,000 rolls of tape. Like, here's your inventory of all the supplies you have in our warehouse. They're going out on pack jobs. They're going out on moves. And I want to find out, are we profitable on packing supplies? Are we losing packing supplies? How does that work? You come in, you help build this data out. Is it all are you just using like a Raspberry Pi, you're building like a software type of program, that's going to be on a screen for me to see, or working on a computer to have 6 screens behind me that are all like giving me all these the data information? Like, is it proprietary information? Is it, a paid monthly subscription? How does that work? Because I always find that, okay, great, thanks so much, Len, and you've come in, you've done all this, and then, that's it. If I stop using you and go, okay, well, Len, you're not really cutting it anymore, it's been a couple years, all of that information, all the software is actually on your platform, and now it's gone. So do you help structure those businesses up so they have their own programs within their organization?
If you're considering Snowball, just do it.
Snowball creates done-for-you referral programs for moving companies so you can turn happy customers into new revenue without lifting a finger. And the results speak for themselves.
In less than a year, we've collected over 2,000 referrals.
We generated over $200,000 of revenue that cost about $5,000 to do it.
I believe we have 4 or 5 the very first day.
The companies winning with Snowball are the ones that already care about their customers. We just help turn that into new business through human outreach and customer nurturing.
Snowball is part of the arsenal of tools that I recommend to my clients because it works.
Being found on the second page of Google is literally like having a billboard in the middle of the desert. Your mama ain't gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. You're on the second page of Google, no one's gonna call, no one's gonna book. Here is the deal. If your business is not ranking on the top of Google, that means your competitors are going to be stealing your customers every single day. So at Rotate Digital, we don't play any guessing games. We use data-driven SEO strategies to make sure Google finds you first so that these Google searches turn into your customers, not your competitors' customers. How do we do it? We do it through AI-driven keyword optimization, exclusive blog networks, backlinking strategies, and honestly, the secret stuff, the proprietary lead attribution software. So what do you get as a result? You get not only good marketing, but now you get clarity into what is bringing you more revenue. So if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure your leads find you and not your competition, go ahead and go to rotatedigital.com, schedule a call, and we'll help you take your business to the top of Google.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a big problem I have with other agencies and companies in this space. And what we do at Data Analytics is we'll give the company ownership, give them some very basic training. They don't need to be technical at all. But that way, if and when they decide to move on, they have the keys to all of the data, the systems, and then they can bring in a technical person to continue maintaining it and building on it.
Which is great because I want to be able to have it and then hopefully be able to integrate it into my actual CRM system and be able to pull that data utilizing yours. This is what's going on. But now let's talk about this a bit further because you kind of loosely brought it up at the end. Obviously, yes, AI is the thing, right? I mean, I have weekly conversations, daily conversations, almost hourly conversations with regards to AI. And, both of us are big followers of, Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time. And, Dan always says, if you are not having your ChatGPT as your best friend, like that should be constantly on. If it almost should be, what you flick your phone on, and that's your Google, right? That is your best friend to help you with anything that you need done. But when it comes down to AI and productivity, you mentioned that at the end, but once you have this, can you give me a couple little good nuggets here of how I can save on productivity by implementing ChatGPT into all my Google Sheets, my Excel sheets, my spreadsheet, like all of this information that's coming in? How can I, and it'd be great if you give me that prompt as well too. I won't put you on the spot, but maybe you can share with me and we can put it into the description when everybody sees us live. But how does that work? Like, how can I do that with, am I just dropping these files in? Like, go ahead, like give me the inside scoop.
As a company, the projects we do, dashboard project, integration projects, a lot of the work around that is piping all of the data into one spot. And so this is called your data warehouse. But having a data warehouse makes bringing in AI, machine learning, different tools like that way easier in the future because it automatically has access to all of your data. And then you can use that to build different applications. For example, one of the main uses of AI that we do for companies like this after we bring all the data into one spot is data cleaning. So as you know, in your CRMs or different tools, there's manual data entry, and there can be 8 different spellings of Vancouver in there and different problems like that, which create issues in your automations and in your dashboards. And so having an LLM, large language model like ChatGPT or Google Gemini integrated with your data can save a lot of time, which would have to be spent by your employees manually cleaning data.
Interesting. I know, especially with our CRM that we use, the big conversation, or it gets brought up, at times during meetings, is everybody, can you please use just capitals? Like just have the cap locks on so that everything is the same, because you have like a capital V and then Vancouver, you'll have all Vancouver in caps, you'll have all Vancouver in lower caps. And it does, I guess, take an effect when you're pulling up data. I never thought about that it could catch or miss when you're trying to do structures of, how many jobs are we booking in Vancouver as opposed to a different city. That might not get picked up.
Yeah, it's definitely a big help because before, when I was doing all this before ChatGPT and Gemini, you would have had to have someone go through and fix all the spellings and try and connect the dots here and there.
When you guide clients through the ones that you're working for to avoid all the flashy platforms that just aren't delivering, how would you guide your clients to avoid it? Like, especially when they're coming to you and they probably have someone like myself that comes there talking a mile a minute about all these different tools that they're using. And they're, hey, I'm going to use this. And I'll give you an example too. I had a client, or actually a peer reach out to me, says, hey, listen, we're incorporating this AI voice answering machine so that when the offices are closed in the evenings and on the weekends, we're going to have this AI voice. It's going to have all your data, everything else. The program itself can, take everything that you need. So you don't have to use MailChimp anymore. You don't have to use all this stuff. It can help you with sales funnels. Everything is like a one-shot system. And I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. This sounds genius. I absolutely love it. It's that FOMO and, the shiny object and that cat trying to chase it. But you go into it and you realize, oh, wait a second. It's actually just a really well manipulated go high level system. It's extremely complicated. And this is why I always tell people, make sure you have your SOPs and your onboarding really down pat, because I found to get lost through your onboarding and then I'm stuck. I'm going, I don't really understand. This doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's probably, to me, if I went to you and says, oh, this is fantastic. And how can we make this work? Like, to me, that's like a flashy platform. It's a flashy platform that just doesn't make sense. How can I avoid that? What are you like? Do you have like a list of questions that you help with your clients to stop them? Like, what would you recommend someone like me that goes, super FOMO, just wants to jump on those new shiny objects to avoid, especially in the day and age of everything is AI and there's so many different options?
Yeah. I mean, I would actually say go for it. Just try everything you can. If something looks cool, book a demo, and then maybe what I usually recommend is not obviously switching everything over to that tool right away. Try and do a little pilot, maybe have a small segment of your customers or your marketing that you test it out on, because today there's just so much new stuff coming out and new softwares can be spun up so quickly that there almost always is a new great tool, probably better than the one you're using every single week. So you just got to kind of balance that with the amount of effort in testing it out and then switching all of your processes over to that new tool.
Yeah, I found in this day and age, it's the the old saying, hire slow, fire fast. And we say this when we're hiring employees. To me, it almost falls into the same aspect of those new CRMs, the AI technology that are out there. Now what I try and do, because I'm always one of those guys that goes, great, sign me up, this sounds fantastic, and then when it comes to implementing it with the rest of the staff, I'm like, go figure it out. Like, go do an onboarding. I don't have time for all this. I'm not going to sit down and train you all. Go do the demo, is now I go do the demo myself. I try and have a list of questions that I believe my employees are going to ask. And then I wait a week and I say, okay, we're going to do it. We'll just do another demo in about a week because I want to go the process. If they want my business, they have no problem doing a demo twice or 3 times.
Right.
To say the very least. But what I started to realize is that I am not the one that's using it daily.
Mm-hmm.
And I shouldn't really be, whether it might be a VA that's going to do it or an EA, or I'm going to have someone in my office that might do it. And I'm still going to go in there and look through these reports or understand the tools that our company is using. I also know that it's going to be my dispatcher. It's going to be my moving consultants. It's going to be the office admin that are really going to be having to learn how to implement this on their daily lives and their schedules. And part of one of the applications now out of the 20 that they're going to be using. So now I try and do that 2 or 3 more demos before actually making the pull on it. And a lot of times I say, hey, is there any way that we can have a hands-on demo so that we can actually do a walkthrough and test it out ourselves? Because I'm a very visual type of person. So I actually like them to allow me to have some type of login. Most of them always have like a dummy account, and allows me to go in there and test it with them. So I do the walkthrough. I get my staff to do the walkthrough as if they were in there booking the job or trying to, make commands for a voice agent or, working with a new chat bot that's out there. To me, it's very ideal. When we look at now in 2025, you mentioned earlier as well too, there is so much tools. Every week there's something new. What would be, you mentioned 2 so far, but what would be some of the tools that you can recommend for those that are listening that they should go out and at least do demos or test out especially when they're trying to really hone down on the data analytics part of it, their KPIs within the business?
Are you a mover looking to make an impact? Discover Moving Letters AI and join the ML Plus Club today. Elevate your customer engagement with the personal touch of handwritten letters.
If you want to take your company to that next level, it's the only way to subscribe. If you're doing anything but Moving Letters AI, you need to get on it. So it's going to take your business to that next level. You're going to see an increase in that revenue. Let's go.
I highly recommend using this company. They're amazing to work with. They even send you an email on how much work they're producing for you.
Don't miss out. Join the revolution and start making moves that matter.
Put a golden damn ticket in there with Moving Letters AI.
Hi, I'm Mark Hirschi with Salmon's Moving and Storage. Today, I want to talk about Tighten Up Training. Why? Because this is Netflix grade quality training. It's not those old videos and VHSs that you got hiding in your office somewhere. It's online, it's easy to use, they're short videos, but they get to the point. My new employees, these guys run through these training programs. There's tests at the end, and they're coming out going, oh, I'm ready to rock. So if you haven't checked out Tighten Up Training yet, get a demo done. Get on board. Guess what else is there? Online portals for my sales staff. Can you believe it? These guys can learn how to overcome objections and book more leads today. So what are you waiting for? Go check out Tighten Up Training today.
Yeah, I would say definitely on a personal level.
And don't say Google Sheets.
Yeah, still Google Sheets, but always be using ChatGPT. I like Claude. Claude is really good with spreadsheets. You can just paste it in. Say, clean this column, I need this done. Can you combine this spreadsheet and this spreadsheet? So getting started, trying to track metrics, clean data, Claude or ChatGPT is great. One thing that I've got into recently that's actually been a game changer for me personally is this AI tool called Hoop. I started using them like just a few weeks ago, but I have a lot of different email accounts. I have different Slack accounts, probably at least 8 or 9, and it's difficult to keep track of all the incoming messages. And what the tool does is you just sign into everything on there, and it will read everything and aggregate that into a to-do list. And then I have my to-do list, and it's just made the processes for me a lot easier. I've missed a lot less things, and it's made follow-up in my business way easier. Yeah, Hoop.
It's called Hoop?
Hoop.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. To finalize this off, and I really appreciate you spending time with us on the show. How could someone get in touch with you? And do you offer some type of, you can analyze, or your own type of demo to kind of go through so that you understand what their needs are?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Landon Colvig, and DM me the word Movified. It's right behind Mark there. But I have a custom dashboard for you that monitors your customer acquisition costs. It's super easy to maintain. You just once a month go in and input numbers. But I found that this is a great way to start if you're a service business and you don't know what your KPIs are. Then this tool is a great place to start.
Awesome. That's great. How do you spell your last name? I mean, it'll be in the description and all that fun stuff, but just for those that are listening, trying to memorize and looking up on their phone as we speak. So it's Landon, Landon, and then your last name spelt
Colvig, Colv as in Victor, IG as in go.
Perfect. And that's just his first and last name on Instagram. Go check him out. Landon, this has been a pleasure. I really appreciate it. Definitely some tools that I definitely want to check out as soon as we're done this call. And I'm excited to try out some more demos. Always fun.
More demos.
For all those listeners, we always appreciate your support. Please like and subscribe. Leave us a comment. Hit us with a 5-star. Anything's always appreciated. It's what kind of keeps the show alive. And for all those, until next time, stay movified.